Thanks for joining us, and thanks for the host again giving us this opportunity. So, as you can see from this first slide, we're a junior mining company, but as you can see, we have a significant amount of mineralisation already defined in JORC resources. And as a bit of a change this year, we're back to the West Desert project in Utah, and we've had the opportunity with some funding to progress that project in addition to our Storm project. So this year I might focus on the West Desert, given the time constraints, but I will touch on Storm as well. We just started drilling at West Desert, and we think we're onto a potential significant discovery in our very first drill hole this year. And so there will be a lot of arm waving. I'm very excited to present the results for this drill hole. And so look, go back to the ASX releases. There's JORC resources, so please use that as your source of information. So as the name sort of defines, we are North American centric company. We do have two distinct projects: Storm Seal up in Nunavut in Canada, which is that has been our flagship for a while. We're progressing with pre-development activities there, full on. And we're getting close to finalising those results, and hopefully can deliver some updates to the market shortly. And the other project is West Desert, Utah. And essentially we formed American West around West Desert back in the day. And that's come to the forefront because of this American, the interest in critical metals and the USA. But like I said, we're drilling that now. We think the very first drill hole has stumbled on a major extension and discovery to the system. So just a quick snapshot of who we are. We're a fairly small team. We are highly experienced in mine building and discoveries worldwide with BHP Billiton, Western Mining, Western Areas. So we have the team to execute in these foreign jurisdictions. A snapshot of the company. We're about a $50 million company as it stands today. We have the significant shareholders are management and Ocean Partners. And Ocean Partners is a metal trading company, and they obviously see the value upside and also our ability to execute. I'm also pleased to announce that yesterday we announced a $10 million raise, which will help progress the West Desert project and the Storm project together. So West Desert, and the core you're looking at is from last week. So it's the black-brown mineral in this core is sphalerite, which at West Desert is very high in critical metals as well. So we do have portable XRF on site. We haven't had this assayed, so that's the other disclaimer here. This is all based on visual observations, but we do have portable XRF, so we can't tell you what the gold and silver, etc. will be, but we know that it will be very, very rich in copper and silver and zinc, which I'll talk to. So the things you really need to know about West Desert, the takeaways, is that it's an existing resource. It's 30 to 50 million tonnes, depends on which way you skin it. It's a very large porphyry-related skarn and carbonate replacement deposits. So I'll talk about the geological model in a bit more detail. But we are down the road from Bingham Canyon. So Utah, one of the best mining jurisdictions on the planet. These guys wake up in Salt Lake City every day and see Bingham Canyon sitting there. So they're very versed in mining. West Desert was actually an old mine back in the early 20s. They mined high-grade zinc, silver, and lead. And with that, which I'll talk to, they didn't assay at the time. There's a lot of tellurium, gallium, germanium, and indium in those dumps as well, which I'll talk to. 24 million ounces of indium as it stands today, 1.3 million tonnes of zinc, and significant amounts of copper, silver, and gold as well. And that really lays West Desert out one of the largest indium deposits globally, and it's also the largest undeveloped deposit in the US. And I'll just talk about why that's very, very important. And like I said, we think we've extended the mineralisation another half a kilometre along strike, and that's very significant. So power, water, and fantastic infrastructure. Copper, Bingham Canyon, that's where the copper smelter is, and the zinc goes to Trail, BC, and that's got an indium recovery circuit. So very well set up. Now I do have a slide on indium, and I didn't ask ChatGPT for this, but what is it? I mean, everyone asks the question because there's so many critical metals out there that, it's hard to get your head around it. But like our presenter said before, indium is one of the softest metals. It's got very good geochemical and electrophysical properties. It is come down from the $850 a kilo. It is classified as strategic and critical in the US, so it sits at number 3 on the critical metals list. And that's because 100% of it is imported into the States. So China's, depends what Trump's doing and the administration's doing there. That's not the concern, is what China's doing. And they've actually put a ban on indium exports. And the reason it is important because of this bad baby here, it's a B-21 Raider prototype. And what isn't well known is that indium's used in stealth aircraft coatings. So they're going to build 100 of these, and China's banned the export. So you can see that the local market there is absolutely going to be screaming out for some of these metals. And so therefore it puts us in the right place at the right time, which I believe is, and we won't talk too much about the onshoring of the critical metals in the States, but as you know, the Trump administration's put a lot of effort into advancing this, particularly in terms of permitting and funding, and that's what we're trying to leverage into. But the other thing is that the Department of the Interior is also looking at other ways to, I guess, short circuit and bring forward some of these supply chains. And one of the things they're doing is providing funding to be able to rehabilitate old mines. We've done some dump sampling. This is the West Desert dumps, the old silver, lead, zinc mines. And as you can see, there's a fair bit of material there. We've done some sampling of this stuff and we've found very, very high grades of tellurium, up to over 1,000 grams per tonne, gallium, germanium, indium, plus zinc, lead, copper. So this is the opportunity for us. There's funding available for this. They'll pay you to clean it up, and then we can dig this stuff up and treat it and hopefully get some revenue from that as well. So this is an immediate opportunity for us, something we're looking at in parallel with the exploration. So West Desert, what do we have now? What do we understand about it? So it's a large deposit, I guess, geometrically as it stands today. And there has been a PEA done on it in the past, NI 43-101, and they came out with a 60 million tonne resource. But JORC compliant resource, we skinned it a little differently. We've got about 30, 40 million tonnes there. As you can see, it's split into 2 distinct zones. This is porphyry related, but it's a high-grade skarn. And what a lot of people don't understand is that Bingham Canyon, Tintic, these all started out as zinc lead mines. The beauty of these skarns, they're magnetite hosted, and without getting too technical, so there's a distinct magnetic signature with these ore bodies, and so the exploration leads you to these things straight away. And so they stick out in the geophysics very clearly. So that's what happened at West Desert. All the drilling went into this initial magnetic anomaly. They defined this magnetite-hosted zinc indium mineralisation, and it sort of grew from there. But 2 things about this, you can see that there's the bottom, the deep zone, that's the carbonate replacement, that follows sediments. That's separated by a large fault. Then you've got the main zone, which is attached to the porphyry. That porphyry's got high grades of moly and copper and bits and pieces, but we're not exploring the porphyry, just to make it very clear at this point. At some stage that could become an opportunity for us, but we want to chase these high grade deposits around the margin of the porphyry. And I'll show you why. Firstly, one thing to talk about as well, the bulk of this deposit sits on patented land, and in the States, if you're exploring there, it's very important from a permitting perspective, the classification of your land. So that's private. American West owns that 100%. So we could build a ranch, a restaurant or whatever, but it's, that gives us permitting opportunities to fast track this deposit. This is the image that really excites us, and this is why we've moved quickly into the exploration and seeing how big this thing is. So West Desert, now looking down, is that black dotted line, and you can see because of the magnetite there's a very distinct magnetic anomaly where the deposit sits. The light blue above that and the sort of depression in this magnetic image, the lighter, cooler colours, that's what we believe is the porphyry. But as you can see, 4 kilometres along strike from West Desert, there's a magnetic anomaly that continues across the mountain range there. Our first hole this year, firstly, a couple of other holes that have been done historically in the region, chasing up bits of sniffs of geochemical anomalism, have all hit high-grade mineralisation outside of the resource. So that gave us confidence that there could be more out there. Our very first drill hole, WD 2601, has intersected what we believe is the extension to this. And just looking at this picture, you can imagine if there's 30 million tonnes sitting in that tiny magnetic anomaly, how much could be existing along strike here. And that's why we're so excited by this first drill hole. So this is what we hit. So this is now looking a long section, looking north. You can see the West Desert deposit very clearly in the two separate zones. So this is only a 20 metre thick interval. It's not showing the whole deposit, obviously, in lock section. So that first hole we hit around 80 metres of visual sphalerite and chalcopyrite mineralisation. That looks very, very similar to the main deposit at West Desert. You can see here the dark, again, the browny black sphalerite in this certain section of core. We do have XRF, and we know that it does have very, very high grades of zinc in certain parts here. The key thing to remember about the zinc and the copper mineralisation here, it's very high grades in indium, gallium, germanium, and or tellurium. So we can't assess that with the XRF gun, but we can actually, we're waiting for the assays on this. One thing, so yeah, as you can see, it's a fair step out, and that, like I said, that magnetic anomaly goes, 4 kilometres to the west. So you can imagine there could be multiple West Deserts along strike here. So it's a very, very significant discovery. It's our very first drill hole. Statistically speaking, that should be quite difficult to achieve, and so that tells you something about how rich this system could be. One thing I won't talk too much about, because it's without assays, gold's a little bit, can bite you in the bum if you don't get the assays right. But what we see here and what we don't see completely at West Desert is two things. The porphyry changes and it actually turns more mafic to the east here. Now, over that we get a significant amount of pyrrhotite, potassic alteration, with chalcopyrite and pyrite veins through it. So that's in the porphyry. Outside of that, we see a skarn that's highly, highly altered. We have pyrrhotite plus or minus copper, but we also have this overprint of pyrite and arsenopyrite, quartz carbonate veining. So what that's telling us, and there's about 230 metres of this mineralisation. So we do have a little bit of gold in West Desert, but it may be, and you see it at Bingham Canyon, you see it at Tintic, all of these zinc, lead, silver skarns do have gold with them. So we could have stumbled across the gold portion of this system. If that is true, then that's a significant development for West Desert. Like I said, we have 230 metres of that mineralisation overprinting this base metal mineralisation. So assays in a month, but that will be a significant change for the project. So what does it look like now? We've got the 10 million in the bank. We actually got 14, but we did the $10 million raise yesterday. That will be put into expanding this. We have one diamond drill rig on site. They're deep holes, it's a big system, and so we would like to get another rig on site to accelerate more discoveries. They'll also beef up into the resource side of things. So we're doing two things. We are looking at those dumps, the dump sampling there. We want to enhance our understanding of what volumes are there and the grades. We want to also do a resample of some of the historical core where there's this amazing scar mineralisation that's completely unassayed. That'll beef up the indium and resource which is inferred at the moment, etc. And we believe these two things, particularly the West Desert, particularly if the gold turns out as well, will transform American West into a significant North American asset base, in addition to our Storm project, which I won't have time to talk about today. And well, I do have a minute, so I may as well touch on where we're at. So those who don't know, Storm is based in Nunavut. This has been our flagship project for very good reasons. We've identified 275,000 tonnes of copper and silver up in northern Nunavut. Very well positioned. We're up there last week talking to the government in Iqaluit at the mining symposium. We're moving this forward. We've been looking at the development opportunity here. Those studies are going very, very well. We're putting extra time into it. We want to do it right. We want to do it first time and get it absolutely. But as we've talked about before, very, very simple beneficiation, no need for flotation. This is world leading in terms of processing copper without very, very large capital. And so we're very focused on delivering this project and, delivering for our shareholders going forwards.